now invite Amy McLeod, Region 3 Director, to join me at the podium, please, Amy, who will read out the citation and the Award of Merit for Research, and the recipient is Kathryn Weaver.
This year's Award of Merit in Research is presented to Kathryn Weaver, an Associate Professor in the Faculty of Nursing at the University of New Brunswick in Fredericton. Dr. Weaver's nomination clearly exemplified all the criteria for this award and highlighted her dedication to excellence in the conduct and dissemination of research and the fostering and mentoring of new nursing scholars. Dr. Weaver's program of research has centered on eating and identified issues experienced by women and ethical leadership in nursing. From this work, she has developed a mid-range theory of women's recovery from anorexia nervosa and a model of ethical sensitivity. These are both widely cited, but more importantly, they are being used in practice and are being tested in further research. Dr. Weaver's work has won numerous grants, both provincially and nationally. She has also had the distinct honor of being recognized as the Harrison McCain Foundation Young Scholar for her studies on vulnerable populations. Dr. Weaver's expertise allows her to positively mentor students and has given her the reputation as one of the strongest supervisors for graduate thesis work in the faculty. This mentorship extends to nursing faculty and other healthcare professionals in the classroom throughout the university community and within the community as the president of the Eating Disorder Council of New Brunswick. Dr. Weaver's contribution to the enhancement of nursing knowledge is evident in her commitment to the dissemination of her findings. Her list of publications is extensive. However, her nominators stress that the innovation and creative approaches she has used to translate her work. These include a YouTube training video, These include a YouTube training video of peer facilitation in eating disorder care and a critically acclaimed film about eating disorder recovery. As well, she established a clinic at UNB that is run by nursing students who provide wellness initiatives as well as drop-in care and group sessions for students with eating disorders. On behalf of the Board of Directors of the Nurses Association of New Brunswick, it is our distinct honor and privilege to award Dr. Kathryn Weaver the Award of Merit in Research.
Membre et exécutif de l'Association des infirmières et infirmiers du Nouveau-Brunswick,
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to accept this award. I'm really making efforts to learn how to speak French, but it's a lengthy and difficult process. Today, I know just a little bit of French. One day, however, I promise I'll be able to be, I'll be fully bilingual.
And that was my first public French speech. Members, members and executive of NAMP, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted to accept this award. My development as a nurse researcher began fairly late in life. First and foremost, I was a bedside nurse, and this was followed by teaching nursing. My Master's of Nursing thesis arose from professional and personal motivation toward a deeper understanding of how women recovered from eating disorders. My best friend had succumbed to the lure of anorexia and bulimia nervosa while we were both fresh women at Dalhousie University. My friend became very ill, appeared to be wasting away, and yet there was little known on how to effectively help someone who had an eating disorder. Despite knocking on every door at the Tupper building, the building at Dale where they train the med students, the answers I got were something like, oh, she'll be fine, don't worry. Some adolescent girls are just afraid of developing breasts and hips. Or, well, she could someday be afraid she might get pregnant. My friend dropped out of residence and was lost to me. So after graduating with my PN, I worked in child psychiatry, cared for girls who were experiencing anorexia nervosa, and we still did not have a lot of answers for how to help these girls. I remember that we weighed them several times a week, and they received activity privileges when they met the weight goals and lost those privileges when they were unsuccessful with the weight goals. We nurses tried to talk to the girls, and they confided in us that they felt misunderstood by others and that others thought it was just a thing of vanity and appearance. But sometimes they told us about underlying issues of loss and grief, separation and abuse. But we nurses were also members of the treatment team, and we were the ones who had to weigh them in the morning. So at best, our care was just a notch above adversarial. The science to guide our interventions simply was not there. So in beginning my program of research, I pored over journal articles with the enthusiasm of a kid in a candy store, hoping to find answers for how to provide excellent care to this highly stigmatized population. My understanding of the helping process was increased by spending months at a Toronto eating disorder clinic that was nurse-run, and by nurse leader Patty Perry, who supervised the advanced practice component of my program. Her role in promoting my theoretical and practical understanding of eating disorder recovery was tremendous. Her clinic was unique in that it was interdisciplinary, it had community outreach, and it was a nurse-directed structure. So when I worked with Patty in the field of eating disorder recovery, I acquired a definite sense of the field's evolution and maturation, but more specifically, the role and the power that nurses could play in this process. Bolstered by this practice insight and success, I interviewed women about their experiences with eating disorders. As I worked to more fully understand the women's accounts, a comprehensive explanation emerged. This theory of women's self-development from perilous self-soothing to informed self-care was well received by the research participants and by others, including health professionals, especially once the findings were disseminated via film. From there, I completed a number of projects that used as their main source of data the stories of persons affected by eating disorders. And then, having listened to accounts of difficult interactions with care providers, I expanded my program of research while a doctoral student at the International Institute of Qualitative Methodology through the University of Alberta to explore the concept of ethical sensitivity in professional practice. And then later on, as a postdoctoral fellow through the Alberta Heritage Foundation for Medical Research, I analyzed ethical components of interactions between professional and informal caregivers and the persons living with eating disorders. This journey into ethics opened a pathway that has enabled exploration of nurse leadership development. One project within my current program of research is to elicit and examine the narratives of nurse leaders who experience and mediate ethical issues in their teaching or administrative practice. We know that ethics permeate the healthcare field, all aspects of it, and yet the ways that nurse leaders manage ethical dilemmas are not well known. The study's narrative accounts of nurse leaders' experiences will help illustrate how ethical issues are constructed and addressed by the nurse leaders. These accounts will enable the compilation of intervention approaches that provide support to nurses in positions of authority when they have to make decisions regarding ethical problems, and ultimately will be used to inform strategies and learning resources for preparing future nurse leaders to provide positive ethical leadership in the workplace. So alongside this ethical nurse leadership project, I'm engaged in a brand new study founded by the Atlantic region of the Canadian Association of Schools of Nursing to explore the role of clinical post-conferences towards developing reflexivity and reflective practice in student nurses. So to wrap up, I would like to share some of the lessons that I learned in building my program of nursing research. First, there's no one best time to pursue research. I started as a mature student. Today's nurse researchers may be in their 20s, 40s, 50s, and even older. I've learned that age matters less than commitment. Second, I was haunted by the state of limited science that could not provide answers for helping persons with eating disorders or guiding ethical decision-making. As Ludwig Wittgenstein, that great math genius in concept analysis, once wrote, "Whereof we cannot speak, thereof we must be silent." Nursing needs research to guide and test our caring interactions with clients, families, communities, ourselves, and our students. This research can only strengthen our words and actions within healthcare teams. Third, the voice of practice will help identify gaps in our knowledge and inspire research questions. The voice of practice will also help us interpret and disseminate our findings. We need to listen to the voice of practice to tell us where the gaps are and what clients, families, colleagues, and students are telling us to try to fill the gaps. Fourth, it's important to get research findings and ideas out to the public, especially those who stand to benefit the most. That is, the person sharing similar issues and contexts as our research participants. We need to get the findings out as quickly as possible, knowing that it takes approximately 17 years from the start of a project until it's reflected in our practice. And we need to get these findings out in the best way possible. For example, I've learned that film can reach those with literacy and access needs in ways that publications in dry scientific journals cannot. Fifth, I've been lucky to have worked with outstanding clinicians, researchers, administrators, and students. Together, we have asked and answered important questions about the care of women living with eating disorders, the experiences of the parents and treatment team professionals who care for them, and resources needed for ethically sensitive practice. I've learned so much from those with whom I've worked and have done research, as well as the importance and joy of nurturing these gratifying relationships. Finally, I've been a registered nurse for 38 years, 33 in New Brunswick. In preparing to be a researcher, it was often necessary to combine study with employment while also juggling a busy family life. I want to thank my family for their support, which has made it possible for me to put so much into my research while also being closely involved in the care of my two lovely granddaughters, Lily, who's 8, Leah, who's 6, and grandson Weston, who's 3. I recharge after a busy week through hugging the grandkids, coloring with them, listening to their chatter and questions. The energy to accomplish research goals is important, and family life has been my everlasting source of strength. Although it was necessary for me to separate from family and enroll in graduate school 5 provinces away to complete my PhD in nursing and the postdoc fellowships, it was equally necessary for me to return to New Brunswick to give back to a province, professional association, and university. New Brunswick, NANB, and UNB all helped create the synergies through the resources available to the nursing research community, the nursing and interdisciplinary collaboration, community partnerships, and a climate that has fostered the communication of nursing research. Again, I want to take this opportunity to say a sincere thank you. It means so much to have the efforts acknowledged. Awards such as this are motivating and spur us on to continue striving for research excellence. Thank you. No? Okay. I'm not the whole thing.
We must all work towards change that we wish to bring forth in the world. Thank you.